What have we become here? This isn't us. How did we let this happen?
This is who we've always been. This country has never been great for everybody. It was designed to benefit white people, specifically 21-year-old land-owning white men. Period. Hard stop. And every demographic or gender outside of that has had to fight against the white man just to be equal. Go back to the Middle Passage. 1.4 million black people died on ships. Segregation, Jim Crow, women's suffrage movement, Asians in internment camps. We murdered millions of Native Americans and just took their land. We started a war with Mexico and took that land. We took the land from King Kamehameha in Hawaii. All we've done as a white people, we're like locusts. We take and we take and we take and we take. That's what you're seeing right now. A white man taking Venezuela. A white man taking Greenland. A white man probably going after Colombia. Let's be real. Today is the 5th year of January 6th. A white man lied about an election because he didn't like the results. White people went to the U.S. Capitol and beat officers. 5 of them died after that day. 4 from PTSD, and Officer Sitnick died from his injuries the following day. Many officers had heart attacks, crushed vertebrae, PTSD. The entire world saw it. And this country said, yep, that's the guy I want back in power. The rapist, the child molester, the convicted felon, the pedophile, the man who cheats on his wife with the porn star, the guy who asked for the execution of 5 black men, grabbed women by the pussy, grabbed them by the blah, 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 calling women piggy, calling them fat, calling them ugly, telling 30,000 lies, having dinner with Nick Fuentes. And white people in a majority went to the booth and said, this is really hard. It's either that, the guy that talks about Hannibal Lecter and electric sharks and how windmills cause cancer, who stares at the sun without sunglasses, or the black woman, the most qualified candidate in the history of our country. And this country voted like it always does for the most morally bankrupt, unqualified white man just because he's white. And we still today refuse to have the difficult conversation that part of this country was triggered by a black man in the White House instead of out in the fields picking their cotton. So they went back to the plantation owner, what they know. They would rather burn this country to the ground than thrive under a black woman. And white people are walking around like, this isn't who we are. Yeah, it's who we've always been. White privilege has kept you safe from it, has shielded it from you. And even now, while immigrants are being mistreated, good people that work hard, that bust their ass, that are good people, that love this country more than MAGA does.
These are those tough questions that they feel uncomfortable to be asked because they know they messed up and they don't like being called out. But I love that the one calling them out actually is one of their own. And he's talking much about facts here. I want us to dive into his video first. Let's hear what he has to say about this. And then let's be back here as I share my commentary on the same. But I'm really, really happy that it is him talking about it and not a black man. Because now they would not say it's a victim thing. They are going to listen to him keenly. Now, let's watch it, and please like the video as usual. Share the content to like-minded people and subscribe to the channel. Make sure that you tap the notification button on. Let's rock in.
Actual patriots that love this country. We're watching women getting dragged through the snow with one arm, losing their pregnancies. We got immigrants in concentration camps losing their lives, getting 1 meal a day, 2 showers a week. Over 200 U.S. citizens have been arrested because they're racially profiling people. And we're just sitting around, well, I don't want to talk politics because I don't want to upset a friend. And we're doing what we've always done as white people, going right back into our privilege because it doesn't affect me. And you think that somehow, because you participated in a No Kings protest in April, July, and October on a Saturday outside of working hours, that you deserve a participation trophy because you did something. And you woke up and you made signs and you high-fived and you went to watch Netflix, or you went to a baseball game, or you went to a football game. And what did you do? Did you go on a general strike? Oh no, I can't do that. I can't afford to. That's too uncomfortable. Have you stopped paying taxes? Oh no, that's too uncomfortable. Have you posted on social media? Oh no, I don't want to affect work. I don't want to upset Uncle Bob because he might talk to me during Christmas. Did you stop spending on Black Friday? No, I can't do that. I need the discounts for Christmas. What are you willing to do? Because I haven't seen enough people that look like me willing to be uncomfortable. That's the problem. We will not remember the voices of our enemies, rather the silence of our friends. And right now, that's what white people are doing. You, white people, including myself, are responsible for this through our silence. Just like the 3 officers stood by while George Floyd was murdered, we're sitting by and watching it happen because we think that our privilege will keep us safe. You're complicit in it, and you're complicit in it, and you're complicit in it. I don't do politics means I have white privilege and I'm going to hide behind it as long as I can because it doesn't affect me. Don't wave your gold cross at me and say you love your neighbor as yourself when the only person you care about is yourself. I do this because I was named after Paul, and I consider myself an imperfect person in all aspects, but I consider myself a person of faith. And I might not know all the answers to everything, but I know one thing. If Jesus was here and saw what was happening in this country, I'll be goddamned if he wouldn't be out there protesting every day. He would be on a strike. Every day, he would be turning over tables in churches and synagogues and the Congress and the Senate. And he would do everything he could to stand up for justice. Until this country decides to do that, you're going to get what you deserve. This man is doing what white men always do, is they take and they take and they take and they take. He's going to take Venezuela. He's going to take Cuba. He's going to take Greenland. And we're just going to sit by and say, oh, let's wait for the midterms. It doesn't matter who wins the midterms. Why do you still think the Democrats are going to save us? They are not up for this fight. This is not about politics. It's about white supremacy. For too long, we thought that we made progress. We never did. What we're seeing is the remnants of the lost cause. The only difference, other than the year, is that Donald Trump, the rapist pedophile, told them, be who you are. Come out of the closet. Leave your white hoods at home and put on your red hats. I'll support you. And that's what you're seeing. That's why you see white nationalists all over the country now, because they're emboldened by the racist, white supremacist grand wizard in the White House. This isn't rocket science. And everybody's saying, who's going to save us? We're not willing to be uncomfortable. Nobody's coming to save you. It doesn't matter if a Democrat wins. It's not going to stop what's wrong with this country. Donald Trump is a symptom of white supremacy. It'll be J.D. Vance next, or some other far-right Pharisee, some other white nationalist that's afraid of a white minority. It's going to be somebody else. Until we fix the root of this problem, We will never be a great country for everybody. And we've got here because we have propagandized generations of people in this country, and we've told ourselves that we're the best of the best of the best of the best, and it's a lie. We raise our kids in American flag diapers, and we eat our freedom Wheaties before we go to school, and we talk about freedom and guns and Second Amendment and bald eagles and more freedom, and throw in God once in a while and sprinkle in a gold cross or some other symbol of nationalism. And we go to baseball games and we worship the flag, and we go to school and we worship the flag. And before we leave the house, we feed our pet bald eagle, and we get in our truck and put on 400,000 million American flags because we don't want our neighbors to forget that we're patriots. And then we polish the Constitution. And then we don't put on seatbelts because we're patriots. We don't want to be confined by safety. Screw that. Yeah, we're anti-vaxxers. Yeah, we're patriots. And then you turn up God Bless America so the entire state of California can hear you, and you go to work. But first, you got to go in your house and get 500 billion guns and put them in your back seat because you're a patriot. And it's nationalism. Patriotism is doing what I'm doing and standing up for the people that the flag represents. I was at a protest at an ICE facility in Las Vegas last year. And it was interesting. I was there, and it was almost all Latinos and Latinas. They were having their chicle and their quinceañeras. And you know what? They had an American flag that was half American and half Mexican. I was like, you know what? That's what America is. And at that moment, I knew that those people, whether they were immigrants, whether they were citizens, I didn't care. They were good people. That's what I care about. They loved this country more than MAGA did. Because MAGA wants people to love this country the way that they want, which is white, 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 white. They're stuck on symbolism and nationalism. And the people on the right have done a damn good job of indoctrinating a bunch of uneducated, racist white people in the South to weaponize religion through abortion and being gay, that the liberals are the enemy and they're all going to hell and they're evil. And it's been a lie. But yet somehow when they vote for a rapist and a convicted felon and a pedophile, somehow, hey, no one's perfect. And that's the hypocrisy, because that's what it is. It has never been about God or Jesus. And I'll remind you that the KKK and the lynchings didn't let black people sit in church. In fact, they would lynch black people and leave them outside hanging from the tree after the Sunday service, and then all the white people would be in their nice clothes and take pictures because, you know, nothing says we're a Christian nation. But that's the lie that they told people, that we're a Christian nation. Lynchings, Jim Crow, segregation, tearing out the fetuses of black women, using babies for bait for alligators. The Middle Passage, where 1.4 million people died. The Trail of Tears, Wounded Knee, Asian internment camps. Black people not sitting in church or same schools, but hey, we're a Christian nation. But what that means is that we're a white nation. That's what it means. When you hear traditional family values, that means you can be a white man that rapes women and molests little girls and be president, because that's traditional family values. White. When are we going to finally face the original sin of this country? We didn't make progress during the civil rights movement. We suppressed it behind a dam. And this plantation owner in the White House, this grand wizard, has opened that dam. And it's so full that the water's coming over the top of the dam. And it's about to crack open. And the Stephen Millers and the Steve Bannons of the world and the Marco Rubio who wants to be close to whiteness and the Lindsey Grahams, they're all going to kiss up to the white man, because he is their Hail Mary to save their version of traditional family values from the non-white people taking it over. When are we going to address it, people? It was never about the price of eggs or gas. They were never going to vote for the black woman. And when you look at the Zohran Mamdani race, The only demographic that did vote for him, white people. Harris and Trump, white people. Go look at the early polling for Jasmine Crockett and James Tallarico. I know it's shocking, but the majority of people that aren't voting for her, white men and women and Latino men, because there is a hint of misogyny in those people. They're not a monolith, but you see the same demographics vote for the man again and again and again. And for those of you that are still not believing that this is a sexist, misogynist country, why don't you ask yourself this question? Why is it that half of our country are women? 50%. And in 249 years, we've never had a woman president. That we would rather have a pedophile, rapist, convicted felon, white man as the president than the most qualified black woman. It's misogyny. Maintaining the white male patriarchy is more valuable than morality and decency, integrity, and honesty. And I voted for John McCain and I voted for Barack Obama. I even voted for Ross Perot. I have voted all across the aisle. They were decent people. I had respect for them. They had integrity, decency, kindness. I would have been fine with either one of them winning. But what we've done now is completely abdicated all that for white supremacy. And that's a damn shame. It's time that we finally have this conversation. Have a white day.
Okay, since no one's going to say it, I'm going to say it. Let's just call it what it is. This Trump administration isn't some showcase of brilliance or strategy or moral authority. It is a showcase of white mediocrity, broadcast for the entire world to see. If you think about it, they scream about being the greatest. They scream about being the smartest, the most patriotic. But when the spotlight hits them, what do we see? Corruption, incompetence, lies stacked on top of lies. A government so insecure it has to redraw maps, it has to silence voters, it has to attack its own citizens just to hold on to power. And the world is watching. Countries overseas are looking at America, shaking their heads saying, this is America? This is what we were told was the standard for democracy? Because for centuries, whiteness carried itself alongside synonymous with excellence, while dismissing black and brown excellence as inferior. But Trump's administration has blown that myth to pieces because globally, people see it now. Whiteness in power doesn't guarantee wisdom. It doesn't guarantee justice. It doesn't even guarantee competence. All it guarantees is access. Access, handed down through a rigged system that protects mediocrity as long as it wears the right skin. So let's be clear. This ain't about every white person, but it is about the fact that Trump has exposed the truth that the old story of white superiority was never superiority at all. It was all smoke and mirrors. And now the smoke has cleared. So what comes next, right? If America wants respect on the world stage again, it won't come through Trump. It won't come through clinging to whiteness. It will come through honesty, justice, and multiracial democracy that values talent, not skin. Because the global stage just learned what we've always known. When you strip away the privilege, white mediocrity can't hold a candle to black excellence.
Anyone else remember that coked out interview Charlie Sheen did a while back talking about all that winning? Same energy. Donnie, I am 99.9% certain if the American people are approaching you saying they can't take it anymore, they're not talking about winning. Because you quite literally have the lowest approval rating in modern day history. If you consider that winning, I guess technically you are in first place. As if the American people aren't already suffering, we had to sit through the longest State of the Union speech in history. One that quite literally could have used an intermission. So it's a good thing Erica Kirk was there to provide us with yet another alt-right, all-American, unbelievably lackluster halftime show performance. If what Kid Rock did was called lip syncing, where you pretend to sing, what is it called that you were doing? I guess we'll find out tonight on Candace Owens' show. But enough about the theatrics. Let's talk about the facts of last night, or the lack thereof. At one point, he had me believing that the gas prices must be low, because how could one afford to gaslight us as much as he did in this economy? At one point trying to actually convince us that the concept of affordability is just something we made up in our heads. Not everybody in this country, Donald, is making billions off a cryptocurrency scam. Some of us are suffering through rising healthcare costs and energy costs and grocery costs. At one point, he said prescription medications are down 600%. And as someone who takes prescription medication for a heart condition, I was shocked because mine have actually gone up. And if they were down 600%, that would mean the pharmacy owes me money. And that has yet to happen. And don't get me started on how the GOP managed to turn brown nosing into an Olympic event, where it seemed that every time Donald Trump took a breath, they gave him a standing ovation. At one point, it looked like Mike Johnson was wearing vibrating panties, and Lindsey Graham had control over the remote. Flap your wings, little ladybug. But despite all the bullshit and lies, Donald Trump managed to use the one surefire way to distract MAGA from reality, with a USA chant. Let's ignore the wealth gap or the fact that no one can afford a home. Let's ignore that tariffs have cost the American people over $275 billion. Let's ignore that while Donald Trump bragged about creating 200,000 jobs, Joe Biden created 2 million. Ignore it all, because USA, USA, USA. Anyways, bye.
Last night, Trump outsmarted all of his political opponents with this single move.
One of the great things about the State of the Union is how it gives Americans the chance to see clearly what their representatives really believe.
I love that the camera is on this guy because this summarizes the entire dynamic. You see him perk up like, oh, wait a minute. Oh, no. Is this really about to happen? Yes, it is. He's embracing the concept of show, don't tell. At the last State of the Union, they realized this worked really well, so they just fine-tuned it, amped it up. He begins by setting the stage.
Because we finally have a president who puts America first. Put America first.
He then introduces a policy change that Congress is not going to be able to engage in insider trading anymore. This forces them to concede.
They stood up for that. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Did Nancy Pelosi stand up if she's here? Doubt it.
Trump then doubles down on show, don't tell by using example after example after example.
Delilah Colburn was only 5 years old in June. Elizabeth Medina was supposed to perform in her town's Christmas parade.
His opponents will claim these are just anecdotes. Yes, but they're anecdotes that could have been prevented. And there's no denying that. These things happened. Their family is there in the room. He already knows they're not going to stand, but he then begins to bait them in just to ensure the outcome.
And it is the American people who pay the price in higher medical bills, car insurance rates, rent, taxes, and perhaps most importantly, crime. We will take care of this problem. We're going to take care of this problem. We are not playing games.
Now the stage is set. He moves in for the kill. I've never seen anything like this in a State of the Union.
One of the great things about the State of the Union is how it gives Americans the chance to see clearly what their representatives really believe. So tonight I'm inviting every legislator to join with my administration in reaffirming a fundamental principle.
He's so nervous. He's literally biting his fingernails.
If you agree with this statement, then stand up and show your support. The first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens.
Would anyone deny that, regardless of how you feel about Trump? Rather than pointing out they're not standing up, he's requesting that they stand up to show support for something. Now he waits and lets it sink in. It's difficult to believe that half of the government could be so stupid to allow themselves to fall into this trap. A lot of thought went into how to phrase the wording of this. It was designed to trap them, and it did. It was worded perfectly. I mean, just look how long this went on for. I wish the cameras had focused on their faces more. We get a few examples here. You could just imagine the people.
Donald Trump's not the problem. MAGA's not the problem. ICE isn't even the problem. They're all symptoms. I mean, ICE is a imminent problem. They're an invading force in multiple cities and states, and they are literally a weaponized version of the Klan that is state-sponsored and has endless amount of money for some reason. But even if all three of those went away today, we would still have the problem. And the problem is this. White people, people who look like you and me, we've allowed white supremacy to flourish in this country for generations and generations and generations, so long that people don't even recognize it, myself included sometimes, right? I had a moment just last weekend or just earlier this week in New Orleans where I was speaking with a guy on a trolley who grew up there. And he's like, well, you're from the South, right? I grew up in North Carolina. That is the South. You might want to fight me on that. It's not the deep South. He said, you know why everyone's so polite here? And I was like, I don't. And he was like, well, we had to be. He was like, everyone had to be polite to each other, especially black people to white people, because if we didn't address them properly, we would get killed. I make U.S. history content, and I didn't even think about that. I grew up in the South, and I didn't even think about that. That's how normalized every day white supremacy is in our country. And if the white people in this country don't decide that they're going to extricate the cancer that is white supremacy from themselves, from their homes, from their communities, from everything that they are surrounded with, we will be right back in this position 5 years from now, 10 years from now, however long it takes for the cycle to regenerate, because it will happen. Trump's not the problem. MAGA's not the problem. ICE isn't the problem. It's white supremacy. It's been white supremacy. It will be white supremacy. It's always been that. And if we don't work towards it to fix it now, then when? Oh, and by the way, if you're a white person watching this, guarantee you, when we get rid of white supremacy and the systemic white supremacy that kills people every day, every single one of us will be healthier. We'll all be wealthier. We'll have better access to food. We could even have walkable cities. We could have walkable cities, but that's white supremacy in action, right? The way we've designed our cities is white supremacy in action. So just think about where you want this country to be in 5 or 10 years. Think about how loud you want to be. You will lose people. That's okay. We'll have each other. Let's go for it.
You know, one of the best things that has happened thus far from all of this is that we now get to see who we live amongst. We now get to see who we call our neighbors. We now get to see who we have been attending church with all these years. We now get to see the underbelly of this country. We get to see if a certain group of people do not come out and fight, what happens in this country. I said, God, you are so strategic. God is so strategic. Everything that God does, remember, it's for a reason and a purpose. Basically, black people has been staying home. And you see what happened when black people stay home and mind their business. The country literally is collapsing. Because, yes, you're going to say, oh, yeah, because we're not rioting. Because everything that we do, they blame it on us. And now they have nobody to blame. The people who are fighting don't know what to do. Even the people who are inflicting the pain don't know what to do. So they're getting crazier because they want to agitate people. They want to agitate black people to come out of their house because their plan is not going the way they want it to go. Black people staying home has thrown a monkey wrench in their plan and they don't know what to do. But now we all get to see who we live amongst. We see the new Republican Party. We are full of racist banter. It's just disgusting. And these are people who are going to churches on Sunday. So now we get to see who we are going to church with and worshiping with and calling and claiming we are calling God with. We see now the pedophiles. We see it's like a revealing. The masks have fallen off. It's a big revelation. America has been revealed to the world. And that's why I'm like, God, everything you do is for a purpose. Because if we did not listen, all of this would have still remained hidden. But God, but God, and I'm telling you, more to come. But at the end of the day, God has the final say. And you know, this morning when I was reading, I remember it was I think in Isaiah chapter 41 verse 10, when God says, fear not, be not dismayed. Basically, God is saying, I got you, my people. I'm telling you, if we did not listen, we would not realize how bad the situation in this country is. We would not realize. Now people are questioning, do I want to stay living in a place like this? White people want black people out of the country. And look, black people basically took themselves out of the country, and the country's falling apart without us. So now you're getting a glimpse of if black people mind their business, this is what happens. It's just sad. And it is sad because this country is such a great country. But look at Babylon collapsing right in front of our eyes. Nebuchadnezzar falling, and the people that were supposed to be worshiping God as idolize Nebuchadnezzar. But God, Father, I thank you, because at the end of the day, you can only pretend for so long, but everything will come. The truth always come to light. Anyway, y'all, have a blessed day. And as the scriptures say, fear not, be not dismayed. Oh my God, man, God is good.
Welcome back again. I really love that he accepted that the system that they built is meant for them and not for the rest of the minority group. It is only meant for the benefit of the white America and not the entire America. And you know, him mentioning about Trump, man, I really enjoyed it, because he was talking about Trump and in accordance to who he is. He never covered anything. He is convicted felon, he's incompetent, and I love the fact that he introduced that fact in there, because actually with the way he responds to questions directed to him, it's so unprofessional, unlike President Obama, the way he used to respond to them. And looking at it, he's a white guy, and most of the folks voted for him because he's white, and so they wanted one of their own, one who will represent that religion of whiteness. Now it's up to them. They messed up America and they're feeling it. Actually, most of them you've seen, they are regretting. And I'm actually sure that they would not really love what this guy was talking about here. I'm quite sure that given a chance, they can deport him if that prerogative is theirs. They can deport him, because the conversation that he brought us into is one of those conversations that makes most of the white America uncomfortable. Actually, not all of them, but most of them. They don't find it better talking about it. They don't like talking about racism. They don't like talking about systemic injustice. They also don't like talking about the so-called white system. that is created to oppress others while others benefit. And looking from his angle and him talking about who is coming to save America, and also looking at how most of white America were asking black folks to come help them, actually even in protests, it really tells that these people are tired of Trump. They are tired of the very person that, and actually they miss that opportunity to vote again and, vote for a black president. They never wanted it before because they thought, or they were so obsessed with their so-called whiteness. They wanted to vote in one of their own. And they got caught up in that, forgetting that that presidency seat really means a lot, not just to them, but even to their generation. Actually, where America is right now in terms of economy, and also the way prices of goods are not going to change that much. If they're going to be lowered, they're not going to resume their initial place. There will be a little bit or maybe slightly higher than the initial one. And so that's a difference made. And every time they make that mess, it is going to be a little bit high, a little bit higher. By the time they realize they are the ones messing up their own country, little by little, little by little. Until that moment, they realize, men, we screwed up, just like they are right now. And I'm so delighted to react on this video and even watching the guy, because now he got out of that comfort zone and decided to call out his own. Because if he doesn't do that, then who's gonna do it? Black folks have tried, but these folks think that black people have victim mentality, and that is why they address some issues like this. Actually, because they affect them directly. Now, it's hard for them to listen to them. But again, now coming from a white man's perspective, then I think they will have to listen to him. I'm hopeful that now they will at least sit down and listen to what he says. And actually, you realize what he's saying is totally not different from what blacks have been saying all this while. Blacks have been talking about these issues for a long time now. And I think they might see it as new because they never gave black people that chance to listen to them, to hear what they have to say. Same with when they were voting for Trump. They never wanted to listen to what blacks were saying concerning Trump because they loved him. And to them, black people cannot give them advice concerning elections. Okay, it's their biasness that makes them miss these important opportunities to learn from other fellas and, at least get advices that would help them later on. Actually, where they are right now, it's something that they could have sorted before if they listened to black people, but they chose to neglect what black people said, and right now they have to face the consequences. I'm not really saying that black people don't also feel the same weight of the economy, but the difference comes here where black people adapt quickly. They've learned to adapt They've learned to create solutions. And when they approach a problem, they approach it in terms of how can we solve it. They don't keep on crying about the same problem, unlike their counterparts. And that is why it's going to be hard for them to be noticed, or for people to notice them feeling it. People are going to mistake that with black people not getting exposed or not being affected by the economy. Yet they are. Yes, they are. But they learn how to adapt quickly. Actually, I believe right now the reason as to why we cannot hear them talking about the difficult times in America, it's because they've adapted to that. They've been raised in pain. They've been raised in difficulties. So their life has been more of survival. So with that in mind and with that in their body, they can face anything. And the world fail to feel them because they don't talk about it, simply because they've adapted to it. Actually, it's like part of them. And unless people now begin to change these policies, people begin to change the way they view the system itself and the way they view governance and leadership, I believe things won't be that better in America. And that is why we need more people like him who are talking directly to their own, because it's a collective responsibility to make sure that America is better and it's inhabitable for any human being. Now, these are just my thoughts and views concerning this. I'm just hoping that you've had a great time watching the guy talking there. I really appreciate your presence. I appreciate your time. I'm honored to host you here, and I really enjoyed being here with you, taking you through it, and I really appreciate once again. I'm hoping that I'm going to be in that position to offer you that value that you'd have wanted the moment you subscribe to this channel. And please like the video, share the content, subscribe to the channel, and share it to like-minded people. It really means a lot. It really means a lot to the channel. And we also appreciate the support that you've been giving, sharing it, liking it each and every moment. Thank you so much. For my new subscribers, feel very much welcomed. And I'm just hoping you're going to have a great time here. See you soon, folks.